leadership lessons for new and young leaders with emphasis on those adjectives: new, bago sa role; batang leader, ibig sabihin you are handling people who might be older than you, which can pose some differences or uniqueness in your dynamics in the relationship, and at the same time can also give you some challenges. Okay? Ready na ba kayo? I'm done with my intro. And of course, I made you wait for a while. Now we have 229 participants. Wow, galing naman, nakakagana. Mas ganadong-ganado ko pag mas marami. If you are ready, for those of you who are ready, please chat with me. Ready with exclamation point. Let's see if you are ready. Because if you are ready, so am I. Let's get it on. And also checking if my connection is continuing. Ready na si Romnick, ready na si Marites, ready na si Alvin, si Joanna. Okay? By the way, I know that we have a lot of people here, but the biggest delegation is coming from Inspiro, my friends in Relaya and Inspiro Group, a loyal client of LJMB since 2011 pa, during SPI Global Days hanggang sa naging SPI CRM, tapos Inspiro Relaya Group. Okay? Yan, nagpaparamdam yung mga from Inspiro saka Relaya Group. Okay? And of course, another big delegation is, I believe, coming from F2 Logistics, no? Yung kaibigan natin dyan, ano? Si Sister Cabio Season. How are you? Hello, sis. Thank you for bringing F2 Logistics, folks. No? Yun, talagang feel natin niya. Sabi ni Jerica, F2 represent. Okay? Now, my first slide is none other than this ladder of success in leadership. Okay? Please do not complicate it by pointing out, bakit po lalaki lang? Okay na. Sige, let's set that aside. Kung meron tayong picture ng male and female, lalagay natin yan. Meron po talagang nagsasabotahe sa slide ko. Meron talaga nagdo-drawing sa aking slide dito, no? Sige, wag na lang dagdagan, ano? And Elaine, can you help me please if we can remove this, no? If we can remove this slide, perfect. Okay? Nakakatuwa talaga yung mga features ng Zoom. Minsan pag na-discover natin, we experiment on this one. Have you heard of Peter's Principle? I know that we have 235 leaders now in the room. Have you heard of Peter's Principle? If you have heard of Peter's Principle, please type in the chat room, me. If you have heard of Peter's Principle, type in me. I'm sure that maybe 20, 30, or 40 of you have heard of Peter's Principle. Okay? And if you've heard of Peter's Principle, tatawagan natin, papag-explain na natin ng Peter's Principle. Of course, I'm just joking. Let me go ahead and explain to you why I always start my leadership sessions with Peter's Principle. Peter is an actual person in the 1960s. He's a psychologist. And in 1960s, wag niyong sabihin that was 90 or 70 years ago. It's a classic theory and still is very relevant. He observed that. Ito si Lawrence Peter, isang Canadian psychologist. He observed in companies, bakit ganon? Bakit nananahimik yung empleyado? Okay? From a, let's say, staff or rank and file position. And then ipopromote to the next level. It's okay to promote. We love that. We support career advancement and promotion and growth. However, more often than not, still in a lot of organizations, when people get promoted, they are not given or they do not get and receive appropriate support in terms of training, in terms of coaching, and in terms of mentoring. Sabi ni Lawrence Peter, bakit ganun ng mga kumpanya? They have a tendency to promote people to the next level without support, coaching, mentoring, and training. And what happens to that person who gets promoted to that level? That person reaches the level of incompetence. I restated that, and I'm showing this on this slide. Without formal training, kapag ang isang taong pinromote mo sa leadership position, and of course, this course is for new leaders and for young leaders, if you do not get that level of mentoring, coaching, and support, you may, ang nakalagay naman may, no? May get to your level of incompetence. There will be a time that your continued promotion without the accompanying skills development and acquisition of new skills required at that level, you will reach a certain level of incompetence. Kasama ko pa ba kayo? Kasama ko pa ba? Kasama, type in kasama. O kasama ko pa kayo, type in kasama. Perfect. Sige. Di naman kailangan 2:35 po yung mag-chat, no? And I just need some feedback if I'm cut off or I'm still with you. Let me explain this. I'm very passionate about this, and this has implications to a lot of you leaders. Sa nagpo-promote at sa napo-promote, this slide has big implications to you. Let's start with a simple sales team. Okay? Oops, my slides are moving. Let's start with a simple sales team. Okay? The salesperson or an agent, we have people from Inspiro here, a contact center agent or a salesperson, or let's say a clerk or an analyst or any rank and file staff level position, if that person got hired and that person has the right qualifications, and that person has been given orientation, has been given the tools needed on the job, technology, facilities, references, etc. I will bet that that person at the lowest level of this ladder, that person whose rank and file is staff level, meron siyang tools, trained siya, pag nag-performance review yan, I will bet because he has everything that he needs to perform and succeed in the job, I will bet that his rating will be about 95%. Okay? Again, I made several assumptions. Tama? Qualified, well-trained, binigyan ng tools, ng facilities, binigyan ng support, 95% performance rating out of 100. Now, articulating Lawrence Peters' principle, do you think, be with me, leaders, meron kang taong ganito, meron kang staff na ganito, na ang performance 95%. Okay? Be honest with me. Pag nagkaroon ba ng promotion opportunity sa taas niya, i-recommend mo ba to for promotion? What do you think? Or generally speaking, if you're part of management, if this person na 95% ang performance, magaling, in short, pag nagkaroon kaya ng promotion opportunity sa isang kumpanya, sa tingin nyo magiging candidate ba siya for promotion? Please type in yes if you say yes. Type in yes if you believe that this person who got a 95% performance score will be promoted. Abay, yeah, oo naman. Sino ipopromote mo yung 65, 55? No way. You will look at this person and say, alam mo, magaling ka, may potential ka, masipag ka, performer ka, top salesman ka. Pag nag-open tayo ng sales manager role, don't worry, you will be recommended. And that's where the Peters principle starts. That's where the pitfall starts. Thinking that a great salesperson will automatically become a great sales manager. Thinking that the best CSR, customer service rep, who exceeds all KPIs or stats in the scorecard will become a great team leader. Yes? It's thinking that a finance clerk na masipag at magaling sa kanyang trabaho will automatically become a great finance supervisor. Okay? But that's how we think. So supposing pinromote siya to the next level, pinromote siya sa bisor, team lead, subject matter expert, however you want to call it, yes, frontline manager, yung next step na yun yung frontline manager post. Pinromote siya doon. Question, will this person encounter or experience adjustments in the role? Will this person experience challenges in the role that he has not experienced before? Type in yes. type in, yeah, I'm getting yes. Definitely. So when we promote this staff, specialist, clerk, analyst to the next role, obviously, may adjustments yan, may challenges yan. Eh, hindi natin binigyan ng training, sabi sa Peter's Principle. So, this person is adjusting, is struggling, pero hindi pa masyadong halata because his level of responsibility is just at that scope. Kaya 90% pa lang is my arbitrary number there. It can be 85, it can be 92, so let's not fixate on the numbers. My point is, nabawasan ang effectiveness nung tao nung pinromote. Yes, because of lack of training and support. Now, this happens. Yung bisor, no? Yung bisor. Sabi nga niya, oh my, when I was working alone, I am in control of my performance. Now, I am handling 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, 12 people. There are lots of factors beyond my control. Minsan nga napapaisip siya, bakit ba ako nagpa-promote? Nakaka-relate ba kayo dyan? Meron na ba kayong narinig na nagsasabi niyan? Or did you yourself even say, why did I even aspire for this position? And some even wanted to go back to just being individual contributors, as we call it. Kung nakaka-relate kayo or you have heard of others, please type in relate much. Type in relate much. Walang pilitan. But if you have heard of some, or if you yourself say, ay, before I can do my task and end my 8 to 5 job and go home. Now as a supervisor, you're left behind because you have to deal with reports, yes, and there are factors beyond your control, especially the performance of the people which are under you. Tama? Pero yung 90% na performance ng bisor na yan, ng TL na yan, is still good. Yes? So expect that when there is an open manager post in a company, when there's an open manager post, I bet that this TL supervisor who is at 90% performance will still get promoted to a manager position. Promise. Promise. Kaya lang, since the manager is now has expanded role, expanded responsibilities, and managers have additional responsibilities such as thinking or client-facing as compared sa bisor na ang kausap lang ay tao, may adjustment na naman. May struggle na naman sa roles. Kaya pag nag-performance up review na naman, tingnan nyo. Whether it's 80, 81, 75, 79, my point here, without formal training, support, and mentoring and coaching, bababa na naman ang performance. Okay? But please chat with me. Is 80 still okay? Okay pa ba? Pasado pa ba ang 80? Pasado pa ba ang 80? Please chat with me. Say yes kung pasado pa. Mataas ang standards ni Maria Riza. Okay? Si Patrick, pasang-awa. Correct, no? Riza, Maria Riza, yes, I get you. Patrick, yes, pasang-awa. 60%. Sorry, 80%. Okay? Although ang dami na siguro mga AFIs dito as a manager. And now, and I've seen it in other companies, that a manager, this manager who's has, let's say, average performance of 80, may still be, could still get promoted to a senior manager role. Right? And even VPs and even directors. I have 300 clients in the past 15 years, and I've seen it time and again. I see it around even directors, senior managers, and vice presidents. Their immediate superiors would talk to me and would talk to me about the improvement areas and skill gaps of their executives. Kasi nga, walang formal training, support, mentoring provided when these people get promoted. That's why I will exaggerate when I use that word 65% or that percentage of 65, because kanina pasang-awa si 80, Now, the 65% now really shows glaringly, very obviously, the level of incompetence that Lawrence Peter has been talking about. Okay? So what are the implications of this? Again, I'm talking to new leaders, I'm talking to young leaders in the room. Demand that you be given training, support, mentoring, and coaching, especially that you are in your new role. Do not assume that you are superstar, you're a top performer in your previous level, you will bring that to your current level because your current level role, yung pinromotan sa'yo, meron niyang mga bagong responsibilities, bagong roles, and will require new skill sets. You're new, you're young, demand whenever you are promoted, even before you know that you're going to be promoted, usually may mga ganyan, no? There are interim stages, require that you be given that support or do your own self-study, prepare yourself. Ano ba ang skill set na kailangan ko when I move on to that role? Otherwise, you will reach, you'll be promoted to your level of incompetence. Before I leave this slide, let me make two more points. Saan magpo-promote naman? Saan nagpo-promote na manager or executive, you look at your staff and say, masipag to, top performer to. Yes, top performer siya in the current role. A different set of responsibilities. Do you plan to promote him or her to the next level? Then understand that that next level will have a different set of roles and responsibilities. And if you're moving this guy or girl to this new role, make sure you provide that necessary training and support. Wag promote ng promote, yes, at basta na lang itatapon at iiwan ang tao dyan, bahala ka na dyan, swim on your own. Because before, I started working in the 90s, I was promoted to certain positions before, and I was just told, okay, this is the new role, Louis. Congratulations, all the best. I believe in you. You have potential. It's sort of saying, okay, you can now swim on your own. What I like is that in the last 10 to 15 years, lots of organizations have really not just paid lip service, but have really invested in training and development, specifically on leadership development. So, kung ikaw yung po-promote, demand training, study, improve your skills. Kung ikaw magpo-promote, provide it. Okay? And my last speech here, you look around us. This also happens in politics, my dear friends, not just in corporate. It also happens in sports. And now, you will agree with me, the best basketball player in the team will not necessarily be the best basketball coach. Do you agree with that? Please chat with me. Agree ba kayo? Type in agree. Kung agree, the best basketball player may not necessarily be the best basketball coach. Eh, ito pa. Hayaan nyo na ako. Pang finale ko na lang. Tama? If you are a good barangay captain, it doesn't mean that you'll automatically be a good mayor. Yes, and it also doesn't mean, correct, that if you are a good local leader of a municipality or a city, you can really lead at bigger levels, say national level. We need skills development and improvement. Kaya naman, yung next slide natin is the transition that we need to do from super worker to supervisor. Take a look at the beautiful terms that we're using here. Super worker. Assuming that the worker is super talented and a super performer, it is not a guarantee that when you move this person to a people development role, he or she will succeed. It will really take a leap. Hindi step, isang malaking talon, effort at effort ka And just like how this photo says it, may risk involved. Yes, may risk involved. Okay? Okay, once again, I'm hearing some background noise. Let's mute that, Elaine. Who do we mute? If you need to mute everybody, including me. May nagsasalita po sa background. Para ano po, respect dun sa iba nating mga participants here. Can we do that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Please, do not touch your gadget. Do not touch your microphones again. Just listen and take notes. And you may even take screenshots of our images here. What did I just say? Effort, effort. And the effort will really stretch our comfort zone as leaders. Okay? Our comfort zone. We are used to doing certain things. We would need to unlearn. We would need to learn new things. We would need to unlearn some. We would need to relearn others. Ano ba yung mga bilog-bilog na yun, Louis, which is on your slide? Okay? Each circle that you can see is a comfort zone. Okay? The green circles there are comfort zones. These are things that we have been comfortable doing, things that we've been used to doing. And now talking to new and young leaders in the room, because you're new in the role and because you're young, don't have much experience in the role. You have habits, traditions, routines as a person na kapag na-promote ka sa leadership role, kailangan i-unlearn mo, i-relearn mo, and others, you would need to learn better. Okay? Tumutunog-tunog na naman. Anyway. Kaya tingnan niyo yung comfort zone dito. But ibang skills yan eh. Each circle, green. Each green circle represents a skill. Okay? For example, it's a skill of leading meetings. May mga komportable sa meeting. May mga ayaw magpa-meeting. May mga gusto ng email lang. Some are introverts, some are extroverts. Yes, because we again bring our personalities and our upbringing into our leadership role. Now, I tell you, when you hop to a leadership role, it is not people who will adjust to you. Let me emphasize that. Hindi mag-a-adjust ang tao sa iyo. More often than not, it is the leader who will have to adjust their styles, their techniques, their habits, and even your schedule to people, especially given this work from home situation. Okay? When practically they say work and life has been so blurred that people would end up working long hours. Get ready, new and young leader, stretch mo ang comfort zone mo, mafe-feel mo yan. When you're still smiling, when you like what you're doing as a leader, you're not yet stretching beyond your comfort zone because you might be operating within what you like. But if you do something difficult, tough, you haven't done it before, you don't like it. Like what? Coaching people, listening to their stories, doing what? Doing root cause analysis, or counseling people, or what else? Motivating others. Di ba? May mga leaders ako naririnig, especially leaders from my generation, old and mature leaders who would say, bakit ko ipipraise ang taong yan? Kasama sa trabaho yan. Tignan mo. And yes, let's admit it. Generally speaking, more mature leaders, baby boomers and Generation X generation, hindi po kami ma-praise. Generally speaking, yes, individually, it might be different in your case. But generally speaking, we have that mindset. Bakit ko ipipraise yan? Kasama sa trabaho yan. Yes, kasama sa bayad yan. But nowadays, working with the younger generation who thrive on praise, who thrive on feedback, leaders, regardless of age and generation, would really have to be generous in calling out, giving feedback, giving praise, encouragement, and thanking people. But going back to comfort zone, ano ang comfort zone mo? Kailangang lumabas ka sa iyong comfort zone. Ang comfort zone mo ba, you're hot-tempered, you're hot-headed, you easily get frustrated. If you don't get what you want, if people do not follow you, then that is your comfort zone. Be ready because your patience will indeed get tested. Okay? So far, so good. Are you still with me? So far, so good. Please type in so far, so good if you are still with me. We will still be with each other until 6:30. We're still making sense here. Tama? Okay? Tuloy nga tayo. Sabi nga ni Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's. He bought the McDonald's organization from the two brothers. Ray Kroc would say, learning never ends. As long as you're green, you're growing. Ganda. As soon as you're ripe, you start to rot. People are just like vegetables and fruits. You're either green or you're ripe. Sometimes people think I'm ripe. What is the ripe mindset? Ang hinog na mindset, ang tingin sa sarili niya ay hinog. I've been there, I've done that, I got experience. No? And you know what? I'm very honest with my class because I really want to help you. Before, I would hear the ripe mindset. The right mindset, no? Yung I've been there, I've done that, I have so many years of experience, no? I'm an expert in what I'm doing. I've heard that mainly from the older members of the workforce. Because naturally, the older employees will have more experience. Leaders who are already in their 40s, 50s, or even late 30s will say, I've been there, done that. But sad to say that in the last 5 to 7 years, I've encountered people in some industries where the average age of the workforce goes lower, who would have the right mindset. And I got alarmed because at the age of mid-20s, people may already feel, yes, I've been there, done that. Yes, I've spoken to some mid-20s, late 20s leaders who feel, I've got it figured out. And why do I have to mention this mindset? Because that mindset is a barrier to leadership. Again, you're new and you're a young leader. That mindset, I've already got things figured out. I have 5, 7 years of experience, especially in this time where technology changes, where the psyche of people around us change. In leadership, we would need to continuously learn new tricks, new techniques in motivating and communicating. And the right mindset, I've been there, done that, will now lead to the next word there. When you think you're ripe, you start to run. So the mindset of the leader, always green, always growing. And I have met leaders who even in their senior roles, VP roles, at late 40s or in their early 50s, late 50s, green na green pa rin naman ang mindset. A lot of these senior leaders who are also mature in age are green when it comes to technology. They know that they acknowledge that that's their weakness, and that's good because they're expanding beyond their comfort zone. Okay. Now, again, you're a new and young leader. One of the things that you would need to understand is when you come to a management level position, and my image here is the image of it's the shoulder board. That's what you call it, shoulder board. Only pilots and military officers and those with the ranks in paramilitary organizations have this. In this case, this is the shoulder board of a captain of a ship with 4 stripes. When you see 4 stripes, even airline pilots, 4 stripes, captain yan, young level na yan. But it's not the rank, my dear friends. Some of us may be motivated by the rank, especially you compare yourselves with your peers, with others, no? Ang bilis ng kanilang trajectory. My contemporaries have already been promoted twice or thrice. What about me? While rank is a good thing and we need that to lead, together with that rank is that responsibility, which is best captured by our definition down below. Let me read this definition: working with and through other people and resources to achieve organizational objectives. Okay. If I'm to ask you, look at the first line of that definition. Look at the first line, yung working with and through other people and resources. Look at that first line. Please chat with me. What do you think? If you are to choose, what are the most important words in that definition? If you are going to choose two words, meron diyang two words. If you ask me what's the most important word there, I will choose two words that for me captures the essence of management. Can you please type in the chat room? I can see people and resources. I can see working with. I can see people and resources. Consistently, mas maraming sumagot ng people and resources. I can also see another response on working with. Okay? Thank you. And it doesn't mean that if I did not choose your word, it's not important. I said most important. And now I can see somebody mention the two words that I would actually say as my most important words. Working with and through. Sabi ni Christian, working with and through. And why are those for me most important words? Working with and through people. You're a new leader. You're a young leader. You may have other motivations why you wanted this leadership role. You may be the accidental leader, or it's intentional in your part. You want to work on your career goals and career ambitions. But when you reach this leadership or management level, it's simply just working with and working through people. May mga body language nga ako napapakita sa inyo. Let me fix my camera here. When I say working with, my body language there would be my hands apparently hugging my team, my people. My job as a TL, supervisor, manager is to work with people. And that alone is already loaded, fully loaded and powerful. When you sign up for a promotion, people manager role, you have to work with people, with emphasis on with people. Because prior to that, as an individual contributor, you work alone. You are a doer, again, individual contributor. Agents take calls and just work within their 8-hour shift. No? A clerk, an analyst, a specialist also works alone. They get directions from their immediate manager. And while they might depend or work with others, they largely are responsible only for their own KPIs. But now, as a young and new leader, you have to work with others. I repeat this many times because a lot of leaders fail in working with others. Ang daming mga leader namimili ng katrabaho. Di ba? Opposite yun ng working with. Kaya nga working with eh. Working with means who's part of my team. Okay. Or regardless of who's part of my team, I have millennials, I have Gen X, I have generation baby boomers, I have people of various ages, diversity naman, uso na ngayon, and inclusion. What else? People of different competencies, because we cannot choose people who will go to our team. We do not have that luxury at times. That's why it's important. Your TL, your supervisor, your manager, regardless of how the skill level is, regardless of what kind of attitudes do people have, that's what you signed up for. You will have to work with these people. Masipag tamad, you will have to work with them. Magaling, hindi, you will have to work with them. Mabagal, mabilis, you will have to work with them. And that's why what I said earlier, you will adapt your style with each one. Did I make sense on that one? Please type in make sense if I made sense on that one. Did I make sense, my dear friends, on that one? Working with, di ba? Kaya nga, if you are not able to work with others, what happens? Leaders who are not able to work with others will choose to work with some, but not the others. Therefore, they will be accused of what? Letter F. They will be accused of what letter? It's a word that starts with letter F. You choose to work with some, you choose to work, not to work with others. May pinipili kang katrabaho, anong tawag doon sa word na yon that starts with the letter F. Thank you, Joyce. Yes, a frequent pitfall of leaders' favoritism. Ako, ang daming issue niyan. Masyadong controversial yung issue ng favoritism. Kaya kung new or young leader ka, ayaw mo na ikaw ay maakusahan ng favoritism. May hugot si Mar Veg. Maraming ganyan. O kaya nga, Mar, kaya nga dapat maintindihan ng mga maraming ganyan na sinasabi mo na ang trabaho ng leader, work with. You know, sometimes, wala naman talagang favoritism ang leader, Mar. Walang favoritism yung leader. Nagkataon lang na bigay ka ng bigay ng trabaho dun sa performer. I said earlier, may magaling, may hindi, may mabagal, may mabilis. As a leader, I get it. Who will you give work to? You will give more workload. There's a tendency to give more workload to those na magaling. Tama, mali. Please type in tama. If you agree with me, leaders have a tendency to give more work dun sa magaling. Diba? So anong sasabihin nung magaling? Anong sasabihin nung magaling? Ano sabihin niya? Grabe, mahirap palang magaling dito. Yes. So it now creates a culture of mediocrity because the leader cannot coach. Dapat ang gawin ni leader, work with the performers, work with the non-performers. Dapat ang gawin ni leader, yung mabilis, work with that mabilis, work with the mabagal, work with the mahusay, work with the hindi mahusay. Coach, instruct, adapt leadership style. Kasi nagre-rejoice yung mga hindi magaling pag hindi nabibigyan ng trabaho. Yes. If the tendency of the supervisors, I'll just load this work with the others who are performers, sasabihin nila, brilliance is a curse. Bawal palang maging magaling dito. And everybody will end up just settling for mediocrity. Leaders would need to work with others, everyone else in the team. Let's go to working through. Simple lang si working through. Ang body language ko dyan ganyan. Working through. And working through for me is just delegation. There will be a tendency, the strongest tendency for the newly promoted leader, for a young leader, is to do things by himself. Promise, I've been there. Because I was young, I have lots of energy. No? Whenever there are things that my people cannot do, I have a tendency, ay, hindi mo magawa, ako na lang yan. Okay, it will take you 2 hours. Ako na lang kasi it will take me 1 hour. No? And it also saves you time for coaching and for teaching. I get you. Ilan ang nakaka-relate sa akin doon? Ilan ang nakarelate sa akin when I said, it will take you 2 hours, 1 hour ako na lang. I'll do it na lang. Mas mabilis pa. It's faster, it's better, less errors if I do it. Okay, may mga relate much sa akin dito. May mga lol dito. Yes? Anyari? Okay, gusto mong gawin? Suffer the consequences, long-term consequences. If you do not teach, if you do not coach, then people do not learn. If people do not learn, they cannot do the job. If people cannot do the job, who will do the job? You. It always goes back to you. And no wonder why you always say, pagod na ako. Pre-COVID times, di ba? Pre-COVID times, what will people say? What will people say? Ma'am, alis na ako. Sir, I'll go na. Ikaw ngayon yung manager, supervisor. Bye. But you're still there. You have a lot of work. Well, yes, managers and supervisors have a lot more work. But, minsan sasabihin mo, sana pala dinelegate ko kaagad to. Sana pala na-coach ko siya. And yes, people will make mistakes. I only have limited time here. But when we talk about delegation, one issue in delegation is delegating the right work to the right person, the right way, at the right time. Yan ang kasama sa mga leadership courses natin, delegation. So my dear friends, new and young leaders, yes, new and young ka, newly promoted ka, new in your role. How well do you work with others? Na kahit hate mo, kahit dislike mo because of performance, maybe dislike mo in terms of attitude, but you will still have to work with that person as long as that person is part of your team, is benefiting from the payroll. You will have to maximize and leverage on your human resources. And you have to work through them as well. Yung ibang head, pasa-pasa lang yung dapat work niya. Okay. Mar, tama, may point ka dyan, pasa-pasa lang, no? Mar, kung ang reason niya sa pagpasa is to train you, kung ang reason niya sa pag-delegate is for you to experience it, to learn from it, so that you can expand your skills, I'm good with that. Pero yung pasa-pasa lang, just so that the leader will have a more convenient time, definitely that's a no. I like the point that you mentioned, Mar, in the chat room. And for those of you who are new leaders and new and young leaders, new in your role, we hated, before when I was an individual contributor, I hated leaders who will really give me a lot of work. I hated leaders who will delegate to me. Well, hate might be a strong word, no? Pero yung, kaya namang gawin, iuutos pa. Tama? However, now, especially I am top management now, I own my own company. And of course, when I was managing teams before, I realized that you really have to give work to others. So please take it from me when I say, ang trabaho ng manager ay magbigay ng trabaho. Ang trabaho ng supervisor ay magbigay ng trabaho, because the supervisor and the manager cannot be so caught up in the doing part that she can no longer spend time on the management side. So yes, trabaho ng manager at bisor na magbigay ng trabaho. But as I said earlier, delegating the right work, right amount, to the right person, at the right time, the right way. Siyempre, pag emergency na yan, tama? The leader may have to do it on his own. Pwedeng all hands on deck na. Are you still with me, by the way? Are you still with me? Just checking, are you still with me? It's been an hour. Okay, Marilu's still with me. The others are still with me. I now have 245 people in this room. No? And yes, working with them through will now make you focus on other things. You're no longer a doer. You're no longer just an order taker. But sometimes supervisors and managers can still serve as an order taker. Bisor na manager pa, mag-iintay lang ng instructions or directions. But of course, we wait for directions. We wait for plans to be cascaded from top down. But in your own little way, your work, my dear friends, revolves around POLC. It revolves around planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. In fact, if somebody will ask you, what's the difference between your work and my work? The staff who's asking, what's the difference between your work and my work? Your work, my dear new and young leader, is now you need to plan, you need to organize, you definitely need to lead the people under you, and then you should not lose control of your team. Of course, each of these letters will require a great deal of time and effort to explain. There are specific courses that are allotted for each one. Pero kung new and young leader ka, hindi na pwedeng yung ginagawa mo before o ginagawa ng tao, gagawin mo din. Step back, planning involves goal setting. It involves action planning of who will do what by when. Work schedules, budgets, policies, and procedures are all part of planning. Now, organizing has to do with staffing, hiring the right people, delegating. And as I go through these words, no, dito na ngayon matetest yung comfort zone mo eh. Di ba? And I'm sure that before you have things that you like to do, and now you're starting to realize that some of the things that you are doing because you are in your leadership role are things that you do not like to do. It's really a test of comfort zone. Okay? Leading. Ang dami nito. Communicating, motivating, coaching, disciplining, performance management. Yung control function. Importante yung control function. Because when your manager asks you or your executive asks you, explain the results, you cannot just say, oh, I don't know, there are factors beyond my control. Just saying that already implies that you lost control of the 5 or 10 or 15 people that have been placed under you. And having said that, my dear friends, having said that, you signed up for this. The ugly truth about accountability. What does this slide show? 80% of the time, 80% of the time, it is the leader's accountability. I don't want to use the word fault, but if you want to use it for dramatic effect, then so be it. If there is an error, there's a mistake, there is a lapse, numbers are down, yes, 80% the leader has to be accountable for that. Bakit may 20%? Eh, syempre minsan yung tao hindi sumunod, yung tao hindi nakinig, yung tao matigas ang ulo, yung tao has a way of doing his own stuff. That's the 20% that can be beyond the control of the leader. But take a second look at it. The leader may do something kung matigas ang ulo ng tao, disciplining. If the person is not motivated, motivational techniques. If the person doesn't understand, we can prevent that by making sure that we have the right communication systems in place.
Saan lumayo? Parang tanga naman. Ba't kasi nasa kabila?
Nagulat ako. JR, nagulat ako sa iyo. Okay? But the message of this slide is very clear. The message is, stop blaming your people. Stop blaming your people. You can no longer say, tell your boss, boss, tigas kasi ng ulo ng tao ko. Sinabi ko na kasi, wag nang gawin yan eh. No? But your boss will just say, therefore, you are not effective in your role. Kung sinabi mo na, hindi ka sinunod, maybe I need somebody else who can be more accountable on that one. So that's the message. I always tell myself, kahit na anong frustrated ko sa tao ko, I will always end up saying, there's something that I can do with this one. Jumping to the 3 roles. When you become a leader, 3 roles ka na eh. Yung hat dyan, yung formal hat, you become a chain, a link between top management and the people. Yung nasa gitna is the coach hat. This is usually worn by sports coaches. Kasama sa responsibility mo, sa role mo, ang magturo sa iba. Before, in the olden times, ayaw magturo ng mga managers and supervisors. Why? Because promotional opportunities are not too many during that time. They might see others as a competition. But now, the times have changed. There are a lot of promotion and growth opportunities that we need to really prepare our people, our next level, for their career progression. And the last hat there is the hat of a what? Sige nga po, kanino po bang hat yung black and red na yan? Sige nga, type in nga sa chat room, entertainer. Kanino bang hat yan? Magician. All right, perfect. Thank you, Dean. At kapag ang magician, suot-suot yung hat na yan at nagpe-perform ng tricks, no? What will be the most, what's the usual expression of the audience kapag ang magician ay nagpe-perform? Pag ang magician ay nagpe-perform, yun, yung sinabi ni Ralph, wow! Yeah, and applause. My dear leaders, what's my point here? Your role as a new leader, young leader, has to do something with this. Yung isa, formal role mo, business hat, naglilink ka sa upper management. Yung pangalawa, nagtuturo ka sa tao. Yung pangatlo, kailangan inspiring ka. Dapat yung ginagawa mo, pag nag-announce ka, nagpa-meeting ka, ano sabihin ng tao, wow! Nag-announce ka ng news, oh! Pag meron ka sinabi, oh, excited na excited sila. That's part of our role, to inspire people. Especially during this crisis. Kaso kung ang bukang bibig ng leader ay gawin nyo na lang. I don't need to explain myself. You need to do this. Sorry, business direction. That will not work. We would need to get better buy-in of our people. Okay? And I know that there are specifics that you need to learn to achieve that role. Okay? Tatlong roles, 7 responsibilities. 7 responsibilities. And I don't have words here. Ano yung una? Graph. Anong first responsibility mo? Productivity. What is the next one? Magnifying glass. Quality. Productivity and quality should go hand in hand. What is that hand there? Resource management. During this time of crisis, resource management is key. Yung susunod, may megaphone. Communication is your responsibility. So you can never claim, boss, sinabi ko na eh. I already coached the guy. But maybe you need to take a look at how differently you would need to communicate. You're responsible for teamwork. You're responsible for motivation. What is that one? You are pulling somebody up. You're responsible for the development of people. So kapag walang ready ma-promote sa team mo, boss, walang ready ma-promote sa team ko eh. You are responsible for that. Okay? And the last one is a chain. You are responsible for coordinating activities with other departments in the organization. You need to be able to establish good rapport, good relationships with other departments. Kasi may mga nakita akong supervisor o mga manager, sila pa ang nagpapasimula ng mga intriga at mga kontrobersya across departments. We can no longer afford to have that in our time. We emphasize synergy, collaboration, fast response time. And you can't do things alone pag may kagalit ka sa kabilang department. Agree ba kayo? Pag may kagalit ka sa kabilang department, hindi lalabas ang cheque. Tama? Hindi mapaprocess ang request. Yes? So if you have more enemies in other departments, maiipit lang ang you may not get the resources that you need. That's why the responsibility of a person like you, a new and young leader, is, I'm not saying make friends, but build networks with other functions and departments. Are you still with me, guys? Are you still with me? With 20 minutes left. Okay, some people are still with me. Now, kung ikaw ay young leader, new leader, isa sa mga dilemma mo, ay ang mga sumusunod. Yan ang dilemma mo. You are between two forces. Hindi ko lang ma-stretch yung kamay ko dito, but if I can do that, I will stretch my hand. Because I am in the middle of two opposing forces. There are two types of forces that are competing for my attention, time, and energy. The first one is results. Because you know you've been hired, you've been promoted, you have been entrusted that responsibility to deliver KPIs, KRAs, productivity, quality, profitability, sales, efficiency, however you want to call it, whatever your KPI is, you know that you need to deliver the result through tasks. Dapat trabaho. Hulaan niyo yung sa susunod. Ano kayang R yung nasa kabila? Ano kayang R yung nasa kabila? Yung opposite force, opposite of results. Ano yan? Pakita na natin. Relationships. You're a new and young leader. I always have to go back to that, right? Ganito pala, pag new and young leader, you're expected to report results, and at the same time, you have a team who's saying, pagod na kami. Yes? TL, tama na. No? Oh, the goals are so tough to meet. No? We're already stretched, no? Especially in this work from home setup. There are lots. Please understand me. There are lots of distractions in my home. I cannot work. So, yun. Relate kayo sa nag-uumpugang bato na to? Tama? Relate ba kayo? Sige nga. Yung relate lang, walang pilitan. Kung relate kayo, please type in relate much. That your boss demands something from you, yet your people like you or would expect you to be what? Expect you to be kind, expect you to be understanding, expect you to be compassionate, expect you to be supportive. Yes. But of course, your commitment to management is to be able to make sure that projects run on time, things are delivered on schedule, walang deviation. Tama? So, I like it. I have 238 young and new leaders here na relate na relate. Ngayon, hindi masasagot itong slide na to, itong dilemma na to. You will have to enrich your competencies so that you can both satisfy results and at the same time, satisfy or meet relationship. For me, you cannot sacrifice one. That's my ideal leadership philosophy. Okay? Because merong results-oriented leader, tama? Strict, numbers only, has no concern for relationship. Numbers only leader, no concern for relationship. Nakakita na ba kayo ng ganon? Have you ever met somebody who's just focused on performance, not concerned with people? Sige nga, may hugot talaga to. Mar, may hugot ka. Okay? Alright, yes. Walang puso. Okay? Ngayon, on the contrary, on the other side, nakakita na ba kayo ng puro relationship lang, puro friendship lang, puro compassion lang, kindness lang, tama? Yung puro result, simple lang ang script niyan. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you can't do it. I do not care if that you have limited time. You have to deliver. Yun naman puro relationship. Tama? Have you done it? No, I don't care. Have you completed it? Kamusta ang result? Bagsak. I don't care. Basta, you like me, I like you too. Yes, friendship. Inuman na. No? Chill lang. It will not be sustainable, my dear friends. I've also seen some leaders who fail on both. Wala nang result, wala pang relasyon. Galit na ang management, hindi nagpo-produce. Galit pa yung tao kasi walang care sa tao. So, the ideal leadership style is always to uphold result and relationship. And before I leave this slide, simple lang. Mag-a-apply siya ng leave. Di ba? Mag-a-apply siya ng leave. Paano yung results-oriented leader only? Anong leave? Walang leave. Do your work. Yung relationships leader. Mag-a-apply ng leave ang tao. How many days? 1 day. Why not 3 days? Why not 5 days? Diba? O kasi relationship-oriented siya. I'm talking of extremes, guys. I'm talking of extremes. You have a dictator there, authoritarian, and you have somebody who's so permissive. Wala na, lugi na negosyo dahil sa sobrang focus sa relationship. Leaders, balance. Yes, it is possible to be strict and kind. It is possible to be tough and nice. But that will require some competencies from you. Minsan mahirap i-balance when you use your heart, na abuse when you use your brain related to work, nagkakamali ka sometimes. Blue, I agree with you. Hindi madali, mahirap i-balance, but it is possible to balance. I agree with you. Not easy, but yes, it is possible. Kaya naman, if you are to refer to a series of courses, this is a 1.5 hour thing, free pa. Tama? But if you are serious in your leadership development as a new and young leader, may YouTube videos, may mga e-learning, may online courses, there are lots of webinars. Please invest time in enriching yourself across these 4 competency groups. Di ba? Yung personal skills, 4. Yung 11 people skills, gusto mong magaling kang mag-handle ng tao, yung whatever you say or do, you will influence them. My God, that's very powerful power. Correct? Brother Mike Velarde has that. Anybody who's leading a religion or leading an organization, no? Pag anong sabihin niya sa mga followers niya, influencers right now in social media, kung ano ang sabihin niya sa followers niya, susunod sila. People skills. And of course, you have thinking skills. The higher you go up in management, you would need strategic thinking, innovation, creativity, problem solving, and decision making. And you have advanced skills. Kaya ito sa LJMB, pa-plug lang, meron kami yan, yung mga courses na yan. That's what I do every day. That's why I tell you, I'm excited to work with leaders. You know why? Because when I train a leader who improves the lives of 10 to 15 people in his or her team will also improve. Sometimes yung mga tao na mga nag-undergo ng training namin, ano ginawa ni boss? Umaten lang ng training, parang nag-retreat. Di ba? Okay? Because yes, training changes mindsets and behaviors of people. And when I work with leaders, I know I'm multiplying my effect. I'm making life better for 10, 15 people, 20, 30 people in an organization. Now, I only have 12 minutes. By the way, sandami pala mga courses dito. Kung gusto nyo, screenshot nyo yan. Tapos, find other sources, no? While we can provide it for you in your company, yes, there are other sources, readings, YouTube videos, online courses on these different competencies. No? Tama rin si Mar, AQ, EQ, at IQ. Pinakamahirap i-develop, Mar, yung EQ. Yung IQ, mas madali pa. Yung EQ, empathy, self-control, yung pa naman ang talong mga leaders, yung self-control, talong-talo mga leaders dyan eh. Di ba? That's why some leaders, no, are so hot-tempered. You might say something, nakaka-relate ba kayo? May mga ganyan bang leader who hurts people using their words? There are people who hurt people using their stares. Tingin lang, ano? Tingin lang. Or body language, yes. Okay. Now, I will jump to very basic topics here for you and young leaders. If you're in your 20s and you're managing somebody older, if you're in your 20s, you're managing somebody older, let me share with you a list of 11 tips. I will not go through this. Pwede nyo siyang screenshot. Yes, pwede nyo take a fake picture of this one. I will not go through this. Please chat with me, type in the chat room. If you are leading people who are older than you, type in me. Type in me if you're leading people who are older than you. All right. Sometimes it's not an issue. Sometimes it's an issue. Yes, lalo na may generational gap. Okay. So, I will not go through this. So, maybe I just put it like that. Anyway, nag-screenshot na kayo. Tama? Now, when you're managing people who are older than you, let me just give you this keyword, letter R, respect. Respect the seniority. Respect the age of your seasoned, ganda ng term, no? Seasoned direct report. Huwag mong ipapahiya sa harap ng team. Kausapin mo one-on-one. Igalang mo ang kanyang experience na una siya sa'yo. Igalang mo yan. But I did not say follow him. I did not say defer to that person. Huwag ding tawagin ng sir or kuya or any term of authority yung older direct report mo. Because pag tinawag mo siyang tita, mommy, daddy, paano mo siya i-discipline? Tinatawag mo siyang daddy, mommy, tita, kuya. So, professional lang, which is first name basis. Yes? So, the keyword is respect. While you will respect everybody else in your team, ingat lang when you will really give feedback, especially a criticism to this person, not in public. The best way to get the buy-in of the person who is seasoned is to involve that direct report. involve mo siya, konsultahin mo siya, hingan mo siya ng payo, hingan mo siya ng input. But be clear, for example, no? Sino ba dito? Si Ralph, no? Ralph, because you've been here longer than me, anong tingin mo dito? I'm getting your input, but I will also get the inputs of others. It's not necessarily I will follow yours, but what do you think? Set that expectation. Okay? So, i-acknowledge mo yung kanyang experience. I-acknowledge mo yun. Okay? Make sure that you're able to purihin mo sa harap ng iba, no? Okay? Ralph, I know that you're most tenured here. What do you think? You can show that in front of others. Okay? Because if you will try to show that you're better than that person, kung ipapakita mo na mas magaling ka sa kanya, makikipagtagisa ng galing niyan sa iyo. And you do not want to end up competing with your direct report or team member. Make sense? Okay ba? Make sense? Sabi ni Jai Mary, exactly. Let me now move on to the next one. Ito, issue nyo ba to? Managing former peers, na-promote ka. New and young leader ka, tama? Na-promote ka. Ibig sabihin, may mga katropa ka. Ibig sabihin, you have your dabarkads. You have your peers who are now maybe reporting to you. So, in-expect nila, friends pa rin kayo. I will not go through these bullets, but you can take a screenshot again. You can take a photo of this one. Pag na-promote ka, signal the transition. Signal the transition. Kung sabi mo yung mga barkada mo, okay? Sabihin mo, oh, friends, I expect that you'll support me. Kayo nga mga friends ko eh. You will support me in my leadership role. Sabihin mo sa kanila, I hope that you are not the ones who will bring me down. So I will have to be stricter with you. I will really have to expect more from you. At the same time, you will have to establish your authority because ang tingin nila sa'yo, barkada eh. Ang tingin nila sa'yo, co-equal. Eh, I know of a story, ang tawag sa kanya, tinatawag siya ng, may tawag sa kanya eh. Meron, ano bang tawag sa kanya? Halimbawa, ano? Isip na lang ako, halimbawa, balsot, no? Ang tawag sa kanya, balsot. And for the longest time, he accepted that, bansot, because he would also call the other person another derogatory term. For them, it's a joke. When he got promoted to supervisor, that person still calls him bansot in front of others. It undermines the credibility. So, simple lang. Expectation setting. Set expectations with your friends. Set expectations with your peers. And at the same time, number 4, dumista-distansya ng konti. You will not cut the friendship. The friendship will always be there. But you will have to, of course, be in the company more with your fellow supervisors and managers. Because you will need to learn more from them. And you will also have to make your friends feel na pag oras ng trabaho. Pero pag labas, pag light moments, you can enjoy relationships, no, in a more relaxed setting. Look at number 8. Do not overdo it. Sabi ko, establish your authority. Pa-feel mo that you are in control. Pa-feel mo you are in command. But wag namang bossing-bossing ang dating mo on the first week, no? First few days, kung ano-ano ng changes ang gusto mong gawin doon, no? Do not overdo it. Do not overemphasize or over-exude your managerial authority. Okay? What else? Managing friends. When you have close friends with you, kasi new and young leader ka, galing ka doon, marami kang mga friends, tandaan na iba ang boss sa friend. I will not read all of these. You may take a screenshot once more or a photo. Friendship exists for itself. Ang friendship, tama? Friendship, yun lang, gusto nyo to be with each other. You spend time with each other because you enjoy the company. Ang boss and subordinate, you exist because you need to accomplish an objective. Ang friends equals. Tama? You bully the other person bullies you. You tease each other, you banter, you enjoy time. Pero boys and direct reports, inside the organization, in the structure, dapat may lugar yan. Friends accept each other as they are. That's why you have friends na kahit ayaw ng ugali niya, friend mo pa rin siya. But in the organization, people have to follow rules. People have to have an aligned attitude. Kaya nga tayo may core values. Okay? And take a look at the last one. Friends don't check up on each other all the time. Pero si boss, you're the manager, you will always have to ask people to report progress. You will always have to check in with people. You will always have to monitor their, not always, but you'll have to monitor their performance. Those are differences. And you have to set expectations. I will not go through, read this line by line. If you're managing friends, you're a new and young leader, set expectations, guidelines. Okay? Set the bar. I like number 3, set the bar. Kung dati nakikipag-inuman ka sa tao, walang problema doon. Kaya lang, ikaw yung unang nalalasing. Kung dati ikaw nagpapasimuno ng kalokohan, tama? Now, you will have to stop that because you will have to show and role model professional behavior. From wearing uniform to adhering company rules, no, to submitting reports on time, to being in meetings early, you will have to be conscious now that you are in a new role. And it's okay, even if you are a young leader, it doesn't matter. Age will not matter now in our time when we hire people for results and not for age.
Hi, this is Louis Banta, CEO and Chief Consultant of LJMB or Learning Just Made Better. Thanks for watching my video. To get more videos like this, click subscribe and hit the bell icon below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and share this to others.